Hey everybody, so a little while ago I asked on Instagram if people had questions for a galactic being who I know named Fred. Describes himself as a Tortugan. He's a turtle-like being, and I'll post a picture with this video. I don't have his artwork with me. Actually, no, I do. It's right beside me. So I do actually have his artwork because he was the first postcard from Spirit that I did, and he's right here. Now, when I do these, I do postcards from Spirit is a postcard that I've been sending out for the past couple months. We have 3 so far, I believe, and modeled them kind of after the book rewards. When I did the book rewards launch, I did kind of these little postcards, and they have channeled messages on the back, and those who sign up get the physical postcard and then get a channeled message with it. And one of the ideas is that you can ask all kinds of questions, but I wanted to get a base of questions going, and so I was like, oh, why don't I take one of the old ones and post them on social media. Fred is very connected to me. We connected telepathically, and one of those beings who I consider a friend. So I ended up pulling his likeness, putting that on social media to see what people had to ask him, what they had to say, and also build up a base of questions for things that are just general to the collective that I can ask these beings going on in the future, because we do have more artwork coming out every month for this postcards from Spirit. And if you remember Pollux was one. I have him here. I think he was the second one. I do not remember what world, and it doesn't say on the back. I'd have to go to his full channel, but Pollux was one. I just sent out another one who I won't announce yet because I just sent it out. And then we have some more Galactics lined up for future postcards. And the idea is to build these really big channeled messages that people can get a lot of info and a lot of different perspectives from the different beings in the worlds they live on, what they experience and that type of thing. So let's talk about Fred a little bit. Fred is a turtle humanoid. I met him, I don't know how early on I met him, but I met him in the beginning of my ET journey when I was really consciously astral traveling and my guides were taking me places. He lives on an ocean world, and when I first met him, I dropped down by what I would call a glacial wall, essentially like this enormous glacier that's out there, and they were waiting for it to thaw so they could reclaim the land. It was like a climate change type thing that created these enormous glacial areas. If you saw the planet, it would be like a lot of it was ocean and then a lot of it was iced over too. And with how cold that water was, I remember asking him how they could live in that space, and he took me down and showed me that they live kind of like closer to thermal vents and stuff that are in the ocean. And in the depth, it's kind of this odd sort of thing that the deeper you go into an ocean, the colder it gets. But if there's thermal vents down there, it actually gets warmer. So you go deeper into the ocean and you find these thermal vents that have plenty of warmth and heat and stuff. So he's in my book too, the Experiences with Extraterrestrials book. That book has a lot of other experiences in it and describes in much more detail and gives like the exact conversation from my journals and stuff about what actually happened with him. And we just talked briefly in that encounter just about who he was, that type of thing. Later on, I was able to figure out where his star is. It's not a star that I think is like a constellation. I was in the desert and was able to see the sky clear enough that I could pinpoint where different beings were coming from, and he was one of them. And I can see them. I could see them in. So that was in June, but the sky had changed and shifted enough by November, end of October, November, that when I went back, I had trouble finding it because it was shifted, and I think it was too close to the light pollution to be able to see it. But let's get into some of his questions. I have my old phone here to help out. So you may see me switching back and forth from that too. And we'll just start with newest first and go down to the first one. No questions, just love. Several of those, and I know he would say the same thing, that they love everybody too. So here's one. Do you have people like you in Vieques? Probably not pronouncing that right. I do believe I looked this up. I think it's like in Puerto Rico, maybe, or somewhere down in that area. And I had talked to him the night I posted this on some of these, so I won't have to channel him. I'll just give the answers. So he is an ET. He's not here. He's a galactic. They do not have technology, from my understanding. They do not. It's like they're more natural. If you think of an example for humans, for us, would be villages in the Amazon jungle who are much more primitive and do not use modern advancements. That would be like Fred's people. Fred's people are living in the ocean, one with the ocean, and they don't travel. I asked him one time earlier, it might be in my book, I don't remember if this story is or if this was later on, but I had asked him if they travel on ships, if they have ships to go different places, and he tapped his head and was like, no ships, none. He was like, we use our mind. They use their mind to travel and go places. So I'm sure there are other beings around, interdimensional beings and galactics from other planets and other places, but his people, specifically those that he knows, are galactic in nature and are not travelers in that sense. Although if they astral travel, you may see them astral traveling. You may see them popping around different places. But technologically, you won't see any like physically here or who exist here type of thing. So this one's, I wonder what the extent of their relationship with other life on their planet goes. Do they have predators? I guess who doesn't? How do they commune with others in their world? Do they get visitors from off-world coming and going? Oh, that's kind of, I kind of just answered that. So, if you hear me pause for a minute, that's just me connecting with him, because the predators thing, I've never asked that before. So there are predators. They keep telling me to talk about Megalodon. So there are predators, but they're not like the way we experience predators. I mean, technically a dog is a predator, a wolf is a predator, a lion is a predator, tigers are predators to us. At the same time, we befriend them, and the kind of the imagery they're giving me, and there's been this energy around Megalodon with me lately, and my guides are popping that in my head while he's talking, kind of showing me like sharks, but you can like put your hand on them and they'll be nice. They, I believe what he's trying to get at, and keep in mind too, some of this telepathy, they show me images and memories and things and then I have to translate them into human words. And so the image I'm seeing is like of them putting like a shark-like entity coming up, but them putting their hand out and being able to communicate with it. And so it's not technically a predator in the sense. So like Megalodon was if you don't know the term, it's the prehistoric shark that is just enormous. There's a movie called The Meg, which kind of shows the size of that shark. And obviously the movie's not accurate at all, 100%. It has some seeded information in it, but the idea is that Megalodon was, the feeling I get was actually a conscious entity, a conscious animal, and that if you were conscious, you could communicate with it, but it also does not, in the sense of people asking about predators or maliciousness and that, the natural need to feed does not make something malicious either. So it can be a predator, but you can still communicate with a predator and have a balanced relationship with it, kind of like we can with wolves. Wolves are technically predators of ours, but we can still have beneficial relationships with them. And the feeling I'm getting is they have like friendly relationships with the predators of their world, where they're kind of left alone. They don't have to worry about them as much, because I mean, their people are highly conscious, highly telepathic. So they would be able to communicate and say, hey, don't eat me, go find something else, type of thing. So their world is three-dimensional. Somebody asked, have they ever been in a three-dimensional world before? A lot of galactics are three-dimensional. I feel like there's a lot of confusion when people start using the word dimension, and because some people use it from conscious dimensions, they use it for physical dimensions, they use it for I've seen other things that I'm just like, this whole word needs to shift, and we just need to call them different things. He's a three-dimensional incarnation of a fifth to sixth dimensional conscious being, is what they're telling me. Yeah. So as long as I understand this right, Fred his personal incarnation is a three-dimensional incarnation on his galactic world of a fifth to sixth. They're transitioning, I guess. Maybe like they're not fully there, and I don't understand myself the conscious levels. You can find that online, where people say like three-dimensional consciousness is this, fourth dimensional is this, fifth dimensional is that. To me, in a lot of the ways that the Galactics have explained it to me, it's kind of like we don't need to label them, they just are states of existence. But for human understanding, they know that some humans understand things in that way, and so they're saying fifth to sixth dimensional, and I do not know personally what the differences are in the definitions from a human standpoint. I know a lot of it's conscious ability, manifestation, loving frequency, different things of that nature, and highly telepathic. Fred is highly telepathic. So let's see. Much love and light to you. Thanks for the opportunity. How come most people can't see Fred was another one. So I don't see Fred. I think that's another confusion that occurs. I don't see Fred. When I say that, physical eyes, he's not here. He's not in the room. He's not on the world. He is quantumly entangled with me with a telepathic cord from light years and light years away. His world is, I don't have, oh, well, I can probably look up the channel on this phone and give you the world details potentially. Let me see if it comes up. It just might take me a second here because I might be able to tell you what the world name is. And I've been trying to gather that information over time as more of these beings present to me. And as I talk to my friends more too. And that's another thing to know, is that when I talk to them, a lot of people think I just talk to them. I don't just talk to them in the sense of like your friends get together and you start talking about your day and talking about what's happened the past few months, and that it's very much a relationship of like, hey, let's talk, and what's the purpose of the conversation? Like, there's purpose to the conversation. It's not checking in, catching up type of conversation. It's very purposeful and typically learning. Like, they might ask me some questions, but they're typically teaching me more things about their world every time we talk. Hey, I think I found it. Okay. Oh. Doing this on my phone is a little bit different because I'm used to doing it on the computer. There it is. So the planet name he gave was Simulon. The star was Absimilon. And Fred is because that's the name he picked. And when he gave the word Tortugan a while back, there was a note that he had known about that, which he's acknowledging now too. They knew that word would translate, that's a Spanish word for a tortoise, but they're not tortoises, they're more turtles. So they are galactic, they're physically incarnated, and they're just far, far away. And so when I see them, I connect quantumly through telepathy. So I have grown my spiritual awareness and my senses, my telepathic abilities, my ability to quantumly connect to people and beings to a point where we can connect, we can set up, we agree to be like, okay, let's have a telepathic connection, a phone line, essentially. When I talk about contact codes on my accounts and like how I can create these light codes for people to connect to their guides that are contact codes, they're like phone lines of energy. It's like having a direct phone line. For those of you who are too young to really remember direct phone lines, it was essentially when we had landlines and we had a hardwired landline, you could call anybody from one, but it's like having a phone that just goes to that person. And you just can feel the energy. Think of, like, I can think of Fred, feel the energy, and ping him and go, hey, can you talk? And he'll be like, yeah, sure, I can talk right now. What do you want? Type of thing, what's going on? And sometimes you get beings who are, hey, no, wait, let me get back to you. Not right now, for wherever their time and place is. And so I don't see him physically with my eyes. I connect with him telepathically, and then I can see, because of building these skills, I can see around me because I can see what he's seeing and experiencing, and he can see what I'm seeing and experiencing. He can see what I'm doing sitting in this chair, and I can see that right now he's out. Harvesting is the word he's trying to use. Harvesting sea mosses, sea moss, seaweed, like it's like a mossy seaweed of some sort. Whatever he's doing, there's water. I can see the top. I can see the surface of the water, and I can see him like picking at sea mossy stuff. So it's all through that connection, like having an extra television in my mind. I can connect to him, see what's going on. He can connect to me. We can see through each other's eyes. We can feel the energy around, so the different spiritual senses help us experience each other. Oh, and my phone just did something weird. Okay. So that was how come most people can't see Fred. Somebody was like, you gotta stop playing Pokemon Go. You'll end up thinking it's reality. Well, it is my reality. And I don't play Pokemon. I have never played Pokemon, actually. And I don't mean never. I mean, when I was a kid, I might have played it for 2 hours. Video games like that were never my thing. And even today, I play a video game once every 6 months, play it through. I have an Xbox, but it's basically a glorified DVD player, Netflix machine type thing. But I understand the meaning. What do you think of us humans? What's the strangest thing about us, in your opinion? He said this the other night, and I can hear him like sternly saying it again. So let me get the first, because it's the second part I know. Let me get the first part. What do you think about us humans? The words are that we have a great potential, and the frustration. Is this in relation to the second question? What was the second question? Sometimes I forget the stuff too, because I'm connecting the multiple things and trying to focus on 3D words. What's the strangest thing about us, in your opinion? Oh, that is the strangest thing. The strangest thing about humans, in Fred's opinion, and there's a frustration on their side, Galactics as a whole, and it's not like he's like coming from a loving heart space. It's like there's not a frustration the way we experience frustration. There's a frustration more of like an empathetic. Is that, am I saying that right? Empathetic, having empathy for, yeah. Empathetic frustration for us, because we have great potential and we do not use our consciousness. Very clearly tapping his head. He loves to tap his head and be like, use your mind, use your thoughts, use your telepathy. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to travel anywhere. You don't have to be anywhere. Use your mind, use your thoughts, use your telepathy. Your telepathy will connect you to far more beings than you can ever imagine, far more that are around you, far more on other worlds and other dimensions and other galaxies and other spaces and times. And your telepathy can be activated, can be grown, and can be used to see. You don't have to leave to see. You don't have to use your physical eyes. Get away from the concept of physicality. That is what holds you back. That is what holds many back. They think they have to see. They think they have to hear. Think they have to feel. They don't realize they can do all of that just with their mind by connecting to other beings. And it will all translate back to you. I'm asking him about astral travel right now, and he agrees with the sentiment I've been told before by many others, even though I astrally met him the first time. You do not have to astrally travel. You do not have to leave your body. You can use your mind and connect and feel the energy. Feel the energy that is sent back to you, and it will translate and tell you who you're talking to, what you're talking to, what they're saying, what they're feeling, what they're seeing. But you do not have to leave your body. You do not have to leave your world. There's a lot of excitement about the capacity of their kind to be able to speak to humans, because they, and I'm kind of translating here too, I'm just gonna say what he's saying to me, so it's gonna turn to we. We are excited to speak to humans because we love to travel the cosmos without ever leaving our world. And we travel the cosmos by using our mind, by using our energy to meet others that are beyond. Beings from the galaxy come to us. Ships come to us, but we do not utilize them. They come to explore and experience our world. And we can communicate with them because we are telepathic and we are conscious and we are of a loving heart space. So we can feel and communicate with them with ease without using our voice. It's giving me this idea that they almost might not have a voice. They have a mouth, but they don't really have a voice. And so I believe that answers the question of the strangest thing about humans. And yeah, the biggest thing is not using the mind. How do we reduce or get rid of fear about ETs, since it's hard to know which ones are good, which ones are bad? How do we know the good ones and the bad ones, or the ones manipulating us? I'm in a more channeled state, so I might have to read this a few times just for me to understand it myself. How do we reduce or get rid of fear about ETs, since it's hard to know? Okay. Why do you have fear of ETs, and do you understand why you have that fear? Fear is not of a loving heart space. When you're of a loving heart space, you don't fear. You observe and you feel love and you try to understand. It does not mean fear does not exist, but ask yourself the question, why do you fear ETs? Especially for those of you who have never physically met an ET. Many of the beings people meet are coming astrally, consciously, telepathically, in dreams, and they fear them, but they go unharmed. We meet you in those spaces because it is a safe place for us to meet you, and for our kind, it's a place we can meet you without physically being present. But ask yourself, do you understand why you are afraid? Why are you afraid? Peel back the layers of yourself and understand why you are afraid, and heal that fear, because you are afraid for a reason and not necessarily afraid of the beings themselves. There are malevolent beings, there are those with ill intentions. That comes from you asserting your sovereignty. You must assert your sovereignty to be a sovereign being, and you must ask questions and understand what is being done to you. There are laws of the universe, energetic laws, that all beings must practice. I feel like he's thinking about what to say next. Malicious intent cannot be stopped. Malicious beings cannot be stopped. They will continue to do what they wish to do, no matter what a collective wants to believe, in transitioning them to a benevolent place. Do not fear them, for as a collective rises and as you assert your sovereignty and authority, as you assert your sovereignty and authority over self, those beings leave because they have nobody to interfere with that does not create an energetic feedback loop for them when they abuse the laws of the universe. By asserting your sovereignty, they will leave you alone. This does not mean you do not have threats within your physical world, physical environment, but it does mean that you will lessen the ability for other beings who are of malevolent intention and purpose to affect your energetic field and affect your space. Build a strong, sovereign, authoritative soul. That is your highest form of protection. It does not mean other beings are not out there. It does not mean they do not mean harm. But the majority of galactics, the majority of beings in the overall universe are about purpose. Purpose is not intention. Everything has purpose. The spider, the flea, the tick, the deer, the eagle, the whale. Everything has purpose. The shark has purpose. The shark is not evil. It does not have malevolent intentions. It still has a natural purpose. To get over the fear, you must uncover the layers of why you fear. Uncover the layers and heal what is making you afraid, and you will no longer feel fear. And go to a loving heart space where you can observe why you are afraid. And understand that fear is a natural response, but it is up to you to understand why you fear something and whether that fear is warranted. Okay, I think that's all. I hope that answered the question. He was stopping and like showing me images, so at times it was like the words were translating smoothly, and then he'd show me images, especially of the animals. He was like trying to pull images to show me to say. So, how do we reduce or get rid of fear about ETs, since it's hard to know which ones are good or bad? I think that answered the question. If remember, channel kind of goes in and doesn't stick all the time unless I write it. Layers. Just talking about peeling back the layers and understanding why you're afraid. Understand why you're afraid, and you will be able to overcome the fear. And then it's up to us in the moment to recognize if the fear is warranted or if it's fear because of a past trauma that we haven't healed. And a lot of fear is just about healing and then learning how to react or how to respond instead of react to it when it comes up. And he was showing me at one point too, like a ball, wasn't an onion, looked kind of like an onion, but not an onion. He's like peeling layers of it, like peel back the layers, dig down, get rid of the fear, understand why you're experiencing it, and then you'll experience less in the future. And the same message from him is what I've experienced too, that there are far more benevolent beings, far more beings in their purpose than there are purposefully malicious beings in this world. That's interesting. I saw like a thing flying around on my ceiling, and I'm not sure. It was like, was that a reflection of mine on my beads or not? But there are a vast number of beings out there. A lot of people want to label them benevolent, malicious. Purpose does not mean that. Intention means that, and there are those that are intentionally malicious, and those are the ones that are going to leave and disappear. Like, the more we raise the vibration of the earth, the more we shift, the more they don't have a playground, essentially. I've had low vibrational malicious beings around me where when I catch them around me, they go, oh, now you know we're here, we're leaving, we're done. Because they know that I can assert my authority, my sovereignty. I've never heard it put that way too. He said, assert your sovereignty and authority. I can do that, and those beings will leave. They'll go feed on somebody else. They'll go play with somebody else who is not doing that. It is up to us to do that. And when everybody does that, when the collective does that, they end up leaving or going elsewhere or disappearing into other realms of existence because they have nothing to work with. So they go elsewhere. At the same time, that does not mean those who are like the sharks of the world. Sharks can be very pleasant. Everybody's afraid of sharks, but they can be very pleasant, very calm. You can pet them, see divers all the time petting them and stuff. Just because their purpose is to consume other fish quite violently in a way, does not make them malicious. It's just part of their nature. Now, those beings still exist. And that's just, asserting our sovereignty and authority and making sure that we know who we're working with, which is about asking questions and getting knowledge. Remember, when you work from a heart space, you can feel something being deceptive, lying, all of that when you work from a higher vibrational space. So if you ask a question, they have to answer it. And you can feel into that answer and see, okay, are they telling me everything? Are they telling me the truth? What do their words mean? And ask more questions to clarify it. Somebody said no questions, but I think he's beautiful. And I do see him smiling as I read those. What does Fred think of our corrupt politics around the world? What does he think about all of us on social media while a satanic cabal rules the world and is actively trying to kill 95% of all living beings? He doesn't understand politics. Yeah, it's a concept they don't have. I'm trying to understand what they do have, and they don't have a concept of politics the way we do. It's just, he just keeps saying it's a collective of sovereign beings. We are a collective of sovereign beings. Like, what's the need for politics, for something of that nature? Trying to send him images of what politics is. And he's like, why would you need to do any of that? The words my guides are giving me is they have more of like a tribe-like nature of society with elders, tribunals, elders. Yeah. And he's like, there's, like, you don't vote on people. You don't have don't know why he's showing me this. He must have pulled an image from my mind. He's showing me, like, you don't have tickets that you hand out and, like, vote on people and spread around, and, like, you don't give people, you don't give others your energy. You don't give others your energy to speak forward for you. You speak for yourself. And in a collective society that operates like them, nobody needs to speak for another. They don't give their energy away. I never thought about it like that. Yeah, when you vote for politicians and stuff, you're giving your energy to them. They don't give their energy away. When there's an issue, when there's a collective group need to make a decision, they resort to the elders, to those who have been there the longest, and to those with the experience that is needed. It's just natural for them to do that. There is no, he's actually using the words, there is no economy, there is no government, there is no politician. Huh. Okay. Never thought about it like that. And he's saying he feels sad that humans, from what he can feel, have lost their way and are giving energy to others. Sovereignty. He's like, I'm seeing an image of him hitting his chest, like sovereignty, authority, here, in your heart space. Be yourself. Okay. I personally feel like since the first time I laid my eyes on the postcard that had Fred in it, I kind of established a contact with turtle beings, light beings, because I come across correspondences right after that, similar to recent contact with frog consciousness and water spirits too. See random billboards or images on Pinterest and Instagram pointing out these creatures and relative topics in daily life, but I never truly know what they might be trying to communicate to me. If Fred would have any answers to that, I would be more than grateful. Thanks in advance. Okay, so the beings I work with, I understand why he's saying this, but I just want to clarify this. The beings I work with are not spirit guides. They are beings of other worlds, friends, family, that type of thing. They are not spirit guides. And he's saying, get into your heart space, know yourself, and talk to your spirit guides. And I know a lot of people, because I do talk to people's spirit guides, and some guides are ETs. He is not a guide. He's like, I'm not a guide to anybody but Will. And that's a friendship. And he's like, he's not a guide of my life. He is just there for friendship, to communicate and help with galactic handshakes. They're showing me help with galactic like meeting other galactics. So a lot of these beings, it'd be like, you know, I'm telepathic if I'm talking to somebody in Australia and sending their thoughts. They're not guides in that sense. And I know that can get confusing because, like I said, I do talk to people's spirit guides, and they can be galactics, but he's not a guide. He's a physical incarnation of somebody I can communicate with across a very, very long distance quantumly. So that's what I would say too, is go into your heart space, and chances are they're trying to say hello. And because you're getting so much, if you get that kind of contact after seeing something, it's an activation, and they're trying to say hello, talk to us, speak to us, notice us, acknowledge us, that type of thing. I'm going to pause the video just so I know it'll upload to my platform when it compresses, and start a second one here, which is kind of funny. 44444.